Praise the Lord, and we thank God His grace and mercy in Vijayawada Campus Crusade team. And we as a team keep on thinking about like brainstorming and also bringing the topic, which is really helpful for our next year team planning and or not only team planning, what you're going to do. So what we planned already by the grace of God. And the topic, as you know, all very well, life skills seminar. I thank God His grace and mercy and His faithfulness. And today we are going to be learn about this preparation material, which is going to be presented by Sister Snehita. And I encourage all the staff listen this. And if you have anything you want to be question at all, you can end up after the presentation, you can ask the question. It helps to be align the material in days to come and to be empower the young people. So we'll begin the day with the word of prayer. And I request Sister Christina, why don't you pray? Pray for Sister Snehita to present well. May the Spirit of the Lord lead her and guide her.
Let us pray. Let me, Heavenly Master, thank you for this wonderful afternoon time, Lord. Lord, we are gathering in your name. Lord, this time, Lord. Lord, we are going to hear the depression's topic, Lord Masters. Lord, help us to understand everything very clearly.
Yes, Father. Thank you.
Snehita in our mighty hands, Lord Masters. You will speak through her, Lord Masters. What are things you prepare, Lord Masters, gives us strength to presence with Lord Master. Continue to be with us, guide us. In Jesus' name I pray.
Okay, thank you, Christina, your prayer. And we are going to listen to the first seminar topic, life skill program by the grace of God. I think we are all preparing well today. The first person, forerunner, Sister Snehita, are going to deal the subject, dealing with the depression. And shall we all and welcome her and clap and welcome Snehita to present time. And Snehita, if you are good in, if you come on video, maybe you are posting the YouTube later. And also you can also listen this and it will be good. Thank you. Over to Snehita.
Okay, Amma. Thank you, Amma. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes.
Can you see the big screen?
Yes.
Or the slides beside it?
So like we have seen the big screen, I think.
Okay. Okay. So we are going to talk about this depression. Depression is a general thing that will happen in everyone's life. So we will be confusing with natural disappointments and discouragements with depression sometimes. So we should be aware of what is the difference between discouragement and depression. So for that, we are going to learn today about depression. Many people who have depression, they will be saying like this, I'm fine. How are you? When you ask, they'll be saying, I'm fine. I'm doing well. Like that they will tell. But inwardly, they have so many things that they haven't expressed to us, which means feelings inside not expressed. Fine means feelings inside that are not expressed. Another meaning for fine is feeling I'm nothing to everyone. So their meaning is different, but what we think is they are doing well. So we don't have to cross question anything, is anything going wrong or something like that. So many people will reply like that. That's why we don't understand what they are going through. We'll see some basic things in depression. Depression is often called the common cold of mental health problems. Just like cold is natural, a natural problem. Whenever there is change in temperature, we'll get cold. Like that, mental health is first symptom. Like that, depression is, in mental health problems, depression is first symptom. Many times we will think depression means if they don't reach their goals. But here we can see there is one man called Edwin Buzz Aldrin. He he actually went to moon. That is his greatest success in life. After going to moon and seeing the moon, next project he didn't do anything. So he reached the peak of his goal in life. He was trying to keep up that same position, and he was seeking if there is any other goal that can beat this goal, and he couldn't find it. So then he got depressed later. So some people get depressed after they reach their goals and find that there is nothing left to live for. So that is the last and biggest achievement I had. So there is nothing great in me. Like that, they will get depressed after reaching the goals also. And some others, because they have no hope that they will be reaching their goals, or they hope for care. They don't have a person who will be caring for them. Means some people have wishes like there must be some person who will be understanding me fully. There must be some person who will be guiding me in everything. I must have enough money to buy all the luxury things, or else I don't have to live in debts. These kind of hopes, small hopes that we have. Yeah, even when a quarrel happened between friends, they want to reconcile and get back to the friendship again, but it won't happen. So that hope is lost because the other person is still angry. So like that, small situations which happen in our life, and what are the hopes we have kept for all, when it was not being reached, then we will face depression in life. There are things like, if we face some stressful situation also, we will have the thought of, when will I be ever free from this stress? Always I'm having problems. When will I be free from this? Like that, with those thoughts, they will sink down to depression. Overview of depression. Depression is a common result of living in fallen world. We do know that we are living in a fallen world, and what all the hopes and plans we make, it may not work out as we wish because we are in a fallen world. The strongest and noblest people also have struggled with depression. Example, like from Bible we can see Job. Job lost everything, so he was also in depression. We saw that in Bible. Charles Spurgeon, one of the greatest man of God, he also went through depression. Winston Churchill, he is another man of God. He also went through depression. They all experienced depression, but they overcame it. Studies tell that depression is more in married women than unmarried women. And also, it is more in unmarried men than in married men. So after getting married only, men will feel less depressed. But after getting married, women will feel more depressed. That is what studies tell. Depression can have its reasons, sources, from either physical disease or unsuccessful personal choices regarding career or anything, or severe emotional trauma if they have been through any trauma, either in the past or in present. And chemical depletion, that means like having drugs or something like that. Those are chemicals. So using of that, or even demonic oppression. We can see in 1 Samuel chapter 16, verses 14 to 16, Saul, the first king, was oppressed by demon, and he was seeking for demonic means to find out the way what God wants to tell. So like the demonic oppression also can happen. David had to play the harp so that the demonic oppression will be gone from that Saul's life. So like that we can see so many things even in Bible also. There are multiple causes that can lead for this depression, and also there are multiple treatments. Many we can go for depending upon the case of level of depression. People will suggest either to go for medication or for counseling or for just adjusting within the situations and cope with the situation. Like that, they will be suggesting multiple treatments. But both having counseling and also medication will be very good actually, because not for less depression case, but for highly depressive cases, it is best to go with medication also along with counseling. Let us see the nature of depression. The nature of depression is like this. The experience of depression has been referred to as heavy blackness. So whenever a person wants to express how he feels when he is experiencing depression, they will say it is like heavy blackness. It is dark all over me, like they will express. And some express it like I'm being buried alive. Though I'm breathing, I'm buried now. That's the situation in my life. And Charles Spurgeon, the great man of God, he says like this: the horror of his soul forsaken by God. That means if God forsakes, that is the horror thing that can happen for a soul, and that's the nature of real depression. And it is a hellish experience when people give up on life or feel that life has given up on them. So that is what depression is. We will see the definition of it. Depression is hard to define because it is so like elusive, means tempting. We will think everything will be like depression only. That's why there are some components of depression that are simply impossible to describe. If a person is dull, we can think of that it is depression. That's why there are some symptoms in depression which will make us to think it is depression, but maybe some other condition also. That's why it is impossible to describe clearly. Sometimes healthy grieving is confused with depression. Generally, a person, when they face some difficult times, they must grieve. If they are grieving also, some people will think, oh, she is so much worried and she's crying so much. Maybe she is in depression. Like that, people will tell. But it is not depression. That is healthy grieving. Because both grieving and depression have some similarities, like crying and all, being sad. Both are in grieving and depression. So, but they are not one and same. Depression is departure from grieving process. That means when actually we are having some difficult times, natural instinct is we will cry. If we are not crying and withholding that sorrow, then that is depression. So we can read that. When we grieve, we feel the sorrow of loss. But in depression, the sorrow of loss is numbed. That means we withhold the sorrow and we act as if we don't have any sorrow. That is depression. Both may lead, at least temporary, to sleepless nights or loss of appetite, but end results are different. Grieving leads to renewal of hope and longing for heaven. So when we really cry, because of loss, then we will be renewing our hope. But if we don't cry and withhold, we will not have a renewal of hope. We will be in that cold stage. Romans 8:23-25, it says, I think, like, godly sorrow is good and it will lead for repentance. So having grieving is not a bad thing. It will renew our hope. Depression creates additional set of problems that locks our souls in a dungeon of gloom. You can see the picture. So that person is inside the dungeon. There is nobody nearby to talk, or just a very dark place. Like even Daniel was thrown into the dungeon. We know that story. So it is like the depression means. It will create lot of problems, and there is no hope for such kind of persons who are going through that. They will have a very hard time going through that. A person said he is depressed because a family trip is cancelled. Some people think like this. They plan for a family trip, and suddenly they couldn't get a chance to go. Some work has fallen on that day and they were not able to go. So his plans are shattered regarding a family trip. So it may be like despair. It is not depression, but it is despair or discouragement that his plan didn't work out. But people think that even that small kind of despair also, they will consider it as depression. So they will be saying like this, I'm depressed because of this didn't happen, like that. So we must make it clear that depression is not discouragement. Depression is a troubled state or mood that consists of several ongoing disturbances in energy levels, sleep, appetite, and the ability to concentrate. If a person is in depression, then there will be disturbances in energy levels. They will become weak. They will not have good sleep. They will have appetite problem. That means they won't eat properly, or else they will eat overly. And ability to concentrate. They can't concentrate and study well, or they can't concentrate on in any given work. They'll be always moving from one place to other and not able to focus on the point. Depression can be understood as group of symptoms that are influenced by biology, which are result of self-destructive response to loss and unfairness. So whenever loss happens or something unfair happens in life, our response, if it is self-destructive, then it is depression. That means we are destroying ourselves, our energy, our sleep, our appetite by numbing our sorrow or anger or anything. Then that is depression. Depression can vary from mild to major. So depression will cause changes in sleep or eat or work or the way we think. And once what we enjoy, the pleasurable activities previously, we will have some variation in that. Previously, we used to be enjoying something, that one now we are not able to enjoy it. Slowly it will, when it is neglected, this mild symptom neglected, it will lead to major symptoms, major depressions. It can come as an unexplained loss of energy. Suddenly a person feels depression inside, then they won't say I am depressed. They won't notice that, and they will feel I am feeling very weak. I'm not interested, or I'm feeling overwhelmed with this kind of work, or I can't understand it clearly. Like this, when they say, it means they are going through depression. So they cannot do even normal routines or normal responsibilities, small things also they can't do. That's the first sign we can see. These bouts of depression can come in short or long seasons, lasting anywhere from few weeks to couple of years. So it can be like this, from few weeks to couple of years, they will be experiencing these kind of symptoms. Depression has mysterious ability to take on a life of its own. That means if we are having depression, we will think that if I die, it's okay. It's not a wrong thing. They don't feel it is wrong or it is something I'm hurting myself. Like that, they won't have that ability. They will get to die. So physical and emotional disturbances within the person will make them feel like it is better to die. So that kind of ability depression will give for a person. In severe cases, it becomes nearly impossible to think through issues of personal choice until some emotional and physical stability can be re-established through medication. So when we are depressed, we will not have the ability to think through the issues what we are going through. Though we try to think and sort it out, we will not get. So constantly mind is working on the things that are happening within us or with surrounding us. So we will be not having a clear-cut thinking process during this depression time. So that's why to focus again, we must have some emotional and physical stability. For that purpose, they will suggest medication also in case of depression. After stability is achieved, then we can work on the roots of depression. What is the cause? So then we can think of recovery process. Like that we can do. Though understanding can't relieve despair, but having some insight into depression can help us avoid being completely overwhelmed by it. So by just understanding, we cannot say depression is gone. By reading a book on depression, we don't feel we are relieved of our depression. But it can help us to uh, avoid some things, and it can help us to work through depression. Let us see the differences between adolescents and adults living with depression. Adolescents living with depression often experience symptoms of irritability, anger, self-criticism more commonly than feelings of sadness and loss of energy seen in adults. So, whenever we think of depression, whenever we see old people, if they are depressed, they will say, I have lack of energy, I'm feeling sad. But in case of youngsters who are young and energetic, they may not show that kind of symptoms, but the symptoms what they will show is they will be irritated by everything. They will be getting anger whenever we try to give something suggestion. They will be trying to show anger and self-criticism, like I'm not good at this. I don't measure up with this. I can't accomplish this. Like this self-criticism, whatever is there, these are symptoms for people, young people who are living with depression. And also, school performance drops off for adolescents living with depression, sometimes dramatical. Means without any notice, suddenly they will be a student who can study averagely, they are performing very badly, like they are having very low grades. That means we have parents have to check if if there's something causing trouble in them, they have to check, because this is one sign that adolescents will have depression. They may engage in high-risk sexual activities and other risky behaviors, including shoplifting, physical fights, and substance use. So, when adolescents are having depression, they may also involve in sexual activities and other risky behaviors like betting and all. That is something risky. You know? Some people will have bets with their friends, like he will go on bike ride, who will do the first, like that. Some risky things they will plan, and who is able to achieve, they will be winner, like that. Something risky things they will do. And physical fights and substance use. Physical fights means, we know men will be fighting with each other when, if they have this depression. And also substance use, alcohol, drugs, whatever it is, smoking, they may be addicted to these things. And adolescent males living with depression may mask the feelings of sadness with anger. So they don't show they are sad. So they will be showing anger outside. And people will think he is angry person, that's all. But they don't think he is having depression. That's the reason he is showing anger outside. So whenever we come across adolescents having with anger, you should understand there might be a root of depression in them. Some have loss of interest in peers, means their classmates, they won't involve with their friends. They want to meet somebody else outside, elder persons or something else like that. So they don't have interest in having time with their own friends, which is normal for everyone. But if they are not having, means that is a red flag. We should notice that they are in depression. Those who experience verbal, physical, or sexual assault, or the threats of such assault, are more vulnerable to mental health problems, including depression. So if anyone is abusing them or speaking bad about them, verbal abuse means, verbal assault means speaking badly and labeling them. That is one kind. Physical means beating them with any stick or belt or something like that. Sexual means, we know what is sexual assault. So if all these things, anyone, if they have experienced in their life, then first thing they can see in their life is depression, and they will have a lot of mental health problems also. Acts of racism and discrimination have been shown to correlate with the development of depression in ethnically and racially minority. See, if a person, for example, if we consider P.B. Siddhartha, they have one kind of caste discrimination within their college. They discriminate people of lower caste and treat them very badly. They will use the time to tease them, break times or anything to tease them, these minority people. So in cases of like that also, depression can be possible in the youth. And long-term bullying may cause so much stress for an adolescent that it becomes contributing factor in a suicide attempt. So if this way they were continuously bullied by their fellow friends or anyone, even from parents or anybody, it will cause a thought like, let me die, and which will contribute to their suicide attempts. Let us see the symptoms. Akka, can you read the symptoms?
Depression mode, sadness, or an empty feeling, loss of interest or pleasure is activities you once enjoy, significant weight loss when not diet, and significant weight gain, inability to sleep or exercise, excusing the sleep,
Excessive sleep. Restlessness or irritation. Continue, Okta. Okay. Fatigue or loss of energy, feelings of worthlessness or excessive or inappropriate guilt, difficulty thinking or concentrating or indecisiveness, recurrent thoughts of death or suicide with or without a specific plan. So these are the symptoms we can observe in people who have depression.
Sorry, Snehita, டக்கு நெட் கட் ஆயிடுச்சு.
Okay. So let us see the causes for adolescent depression. There are many causes I have come across. So I will be going through them one by one so that you can follow along with me. Individually, we will have some causes for depression. In biological, puberty. Puberty means we know what is puberty. So when an adolescent comes to the age of puberty, there will be a lot of changes in physical body and also hormones, and there is a lot of change that occurs in hormones. So because of that, they will have some kind of emotional stress. This stress will add up to other stress like peer pressure or something like that, and like inherited risks. If they have inherited some kind of problems, health issues, or sex hormones are going wild in them, and other developmental factors. So all these will cause a lot of stress in them when they reach the age of puberty. So that will be the reason for depression in people who adolescent who reach puberty. Even not only that, cognitively, when they reach to the adolescent age, that is like young adults or adolescents, they mostly start developing autonomy independence from parents. They are trying to learn how to live for themselves, learning many things to be independent and building up their future. So that stage, they will be having a lot of problem, like the brain has to learn how to make themselves aware of themselves, and also what are the processes happening to understand this means this kind of nature, like that. So to understand the thinking patterns of others and being aware of themselves, a lot of thinking must be done. So for that, because of that, some kind of stress will be in their mind, because they are trying to learn that newly. Some of them are like negative inferential styles about causes, consequences, and the self, and dysfunctional attitudes. So what is dysfunction and what is healthy, and the tendency to ruminate in response to depressed mood, self-criticism. So all these things will be uh, involved in cognitive stage. Adolescent stage, that cognitive thinking. Cognitive means it is regarding mind, our thinking abilities. We are developing those thinking ability at the age of adolescence only. So that's why we will be learning how to think and learn what we are seeing. So this kind of behavior means this is the kind of personality in the person is having. Like that, we will come to that ability to discern in this stage only. So that is the thing we are learning during this age. So that will cause lot of depression for people. And stress means we know that lot of stress can come from negative life events or negative relationships, and people who have lot of stress and pressure from home regarding studies or anything, they will be having this depression. So stress is main cause for depression. It is like if you have stress, you will have depression, and if you have depression, you will indirectly have stress also, because depression can cause stress, more stress on person, and stress can cause depression on person. So it is like relative. So that's why if a person has stress, definitely they will go through this depression. Not only stress, if anything extra also happens, then also it will add up for their depression. And loss and unfairness. We can have expectations about life, and we may feel very sad when there is loss. For example, if we see the life of Job, he went through loss of the family members, loss of all the property, loss of his health. So all these things made him depressed, and it made him like feel something unfair has happened to me. So I lost so much of things in me. So that caused him to get depressed. We can read in Job 7 verses 2 to 7 also how Job responded to depression. Excuse me. I will read it for you from Job 7 verses 2 to 7. As a servant earnestly desireth the shadow, and as an hireling looketh for the reward of his work, so am I made to possess months of vanity, and wearisome nights are appointed to me. When I lie down, I say, when shall I rise? And the night be gone, and I am full of tossings to and fro unto the dawning of the day. My flesh is clothed with worms and clods of dust. My skin is broken and became loathsome. My days are swifter than a weaver's shuttle, and are spent without hope. Oh, remember that my life is winged, mine eye shall no more see good. So in depression, he is telling, I will not see any good. So I am waiting for uh, day to pass and night to come. Even during the night, I am not sleeping, but I am waiting for the day to come. That's what Job is telling. So when we experience loss or unfairness also, we will feel depressed. Many Christians will struggle with feelings of injustice before they will have this kind of depression symptoms in them, because they will feel, I worked very well, I followed what the Lord said, so I served him very well, but still I am not finding what not achieving what I have worked for. So like that, when these kinds of thoughts Christians will harbor in their mind, which will make them feel like I was getting an unjust treatment for the hard work that I did, and which will lead them to depression. It can be on anything, regarding anything. Next, physical. When it comes to physical, we must understand that whenever the body has something, it will affect our soul also. We don't know the reason why body, what is the uh, link between body and our soul, but we can understand that something is done to body, it will affect our soul. First thing is disease. Whenever a person is physically ill, definitely they will have thoughts of depression or symptoms of depression. Why am I suffering like this? Even after having medical checkup, I am not recovering. Why should I get this kind of disease? Like this, many thoughts will come for people who have physical illness. When it comes to diet and exercise, if we don't eat properly, if we don't have a good intake of good foods, then those foods may cause us depression. For example, if a person eats lots of sweets to get relief from pain or stress, they may feel a bit of energy after eating the sweet, but after some time they will feel the same as before, like they will feel all the energy went away because so, and again they will feel tired and weak. So diet also, the foods we choose also will also cause and trigger the depression symptoms in us. And exercise, some people do over exercise, that is also not good. If we give no gap for the body to relax and constantly do exercises, then that is also a cause for depression. We must have regular activity for body to be free from fatigue and all, but overly we shouldn't do the exercise. And people who don't even do any exercise, they will be more prone to fatigue. Fatigue means some kind of I can't do kind of lazy feeling. We don't want to get up from anything. We don't want to do anything. So that kind of problems will arise if we don't exercise. Then genetics. So if a person has a parent who has depression, then they will also have depression. Like some people will have no reason they will have to get depressed. Deeply they will get saddened because of no reason. So like that people are, they are maybe inheriting the depression from their parents or the genetical things they have. But only genetics cannot be the reason. Maybe some other reasons also may add up for this depression. Next, personality. Personality trait like neuroticism means a trait in which a person will have irritability, anger, sadness, anxiety, worry. This kind of personality, if a person has, they will definitely have this depression. They found that in a research, 85% of women who have this neuroticism problem in them, I mean that kind of personality in them, will have 85% of person will have depression. In case of, 90%. In case of men, it is 85%. So our personality also will be responsible for depression sometimes. Like if we have a personality of, we need a reassurance from people to believe them, or we have a habit of seeking behavior, if we are having some insecure attachments and we are having interpersonal dependency, all these kinds of personality traits that we have, I mean, the habits that we have, this will cause depressive episodes in an adolescent. Substance abuse. Substances abuse means like alcoholism, smoking, or drugs, anything. It can be any substance. So using that, a person, an adolescent person can be depressed. So in a study, they told that they have seen person who had substance usage, like substance abuse, who is alcoholic, they are having more depression than people who don't use alcohols or any substance use. So alcohol can increase our depression. So many people think that it will numb our depressive thoughts. So let us take this alcohol and forget the problem. But in fact, it is not the case. By using substances, it is worsening the depression. Next thing is negative life event. So every person will experience some negative life event in their lives. Some people will cope with it, some people cannot cope, and they will go to this depression state. So maximum any person who is having depression, before they get start having the symptoms of depression, we can observe that there is some negative life event that has happened in their life at least 1 month before the depression started. So before 1 month, we can observe if anything, if a person is reporting, I feel depressed, then before that time, we can check 1 month backwards if they have any negative life event that happened in their life. There is a study that told that 50% of the people who depressed experience this negative life event. And this is the cause for their depression. Sometimes it may not be a recent event that happened, negative event happened, but it may be something that happened in their whole life, I mean in past, which will be coming up and which will be remembered by them, which will cause depression. Stressful life events like trauma or assault or death or unemployment or relational problems, all these can add up to depression. Next thing is family. Adolescence is the time where the child will start to be independent of parents. I mean, trying to learn to be independent of parents. That's the stage they will be developing the skills to lead their life in future without parents. Like they have to learn the responsibilities by themselves to take up a family in future. So for all those things, that is beginning age. Adolescence age is the beginning age where separation from parents and from parents will be beginning. So because of this, there will be a lot of conflict in the family. Parents will be thinking my daughter is not listening to me. So they are taking their independent decisions. That's what parents will think. But adolescents want a good relationship with parents so that they will not have depression. But most of the parents, they will think negatively and try to correct them not to be independent like that. It will be happening in homes. So this is the age where a lot of conflicts between parents and children will start. But if the parents and adolescents, I mean, have a good relationship, that parents will understand their the children's developing stage and let them have independent choices along with guiding them properly, then the causes of depression will be lessened and adolescents will not have depression. So if the family has strong emotional and interpersonal relationships, then they will not have any depression. In cases of families where dysfunction exists, like parents are controlling type, then they need, that adolescent will definitely need a elderly person who can mentor them so that they will not have depression. Otherwise, definitely they will go through depression. So parents should guide their adolescents and not leave them alone. At the same time, they should not put too much pressure on the children. Like, for example, in studies also, some give lot of pressure. So that kind of pressure should not be given from parents. They should guide them. At the same time, they should allow them to have their independent choices. Next, family background and past abuse. So every family will have the capacity to either nurture or injure. That means they can either develop the person or they can injure or cause any damage to the person. So that is the ability a family will have. Many who have depression in adolescent age, they will be going through damaging levels of neglect from family, criticism from family, rejection from family, and sometimes in rare cases, violence also will happen in their life, in their family life. So this will be causing a lot of depression in adolescents. Along with this, if they have any history of past abuse from either relatives, if not from family, they have from relatives or someone outside the family also, that one also will cause a lot of depression in them. Sometimes the pain from family interactions or abusive events will be so overwhelming that even the thought of anything other than guilt will be unbearable. They don't want to agree that their relatives or their family members are bad. So they will place the guilt on themselves. I am the one who was the reason for this wrong thing that is happening in my life. That's what they will try to uh, blame themselves for that. That's why many cases, uh, those who went through this abuse or some dysfunction in family, they won't say others are bad. They will blame themselves only. They will tell bad about them only. It was my fault that I didn't have this kind of environment in family or something like that. They will be telling. They sometimes in some cases the parents will not allow the child to feel the pain. That means they will tell you should not cry. You are not a little baby to cry. Like that they will say, and they will not allow the children to feel or cry over anything. Because of that, they will numb the feelings of sorrow, and which will in long run cause depression. Even the lack of empathy and unwillingness to acknowledge how we are harmed, this also will be a reason for adolescent depression. Loss and unfairness, those are common, but in general, lack of empathy will cause depression. Parental mental health and genetics. So in the place of genetics, we touched a little bit about parental genetics, but if a parent has depression, there is a chance that 3 to 4 times the child is having the risk of being depressed. So a depressed parent will definitely 3 to 4 times the risk is there for their children to have depression. The strong risk factors for depression in adolescents are family history of depression and exposure to psychosocial stress. So that is what in a one study they told that depressive symptoms are heritable from age of 11 itself. From the age of 11 itself, they will be inheriting these depressive symptoms, which is adolescence. Next, deferred hope. Deferred hope is nothing but we know that in Proverbs 13 verse 12, hope deferred makes the heart sick. That means if we have a hope on achieving something and we don't achieve it, then our hope is lost. That is, it is then we have a deferred hope. Then that will make us depressed. Some people deal with the pain of deferred hope by hoping in only what is easily attainable. So what some people will do means, like if, for example, if I had a hope of getting a chocolate that is easily attainable, no? So then it will be fulfilled. Then I will not, my hope will not be deferred. So like that, small things I will be hoping for. That's the way they will try to cope with this deferred hope problem. Some others will think like, I should not hope at all, it seems. See, like when our hope is shattered, we either try to think of small things which can be easily attainable, or we will think of things like, I should not hope at all. If I hope only, no, I'm getting all the problems. When it is not achieved, I won't feel anything bad. If it is achieved also, I don't feel anything bad. So like that, they start not having hope at all. Although this loss and unfairness will cause deferred hope in us, but if we grow through the process of that depression, pain and discouragement, then we can regain hope in our life, and it will renew hope in our life, as we saw in grieving. But if we don't do, it may lead to depression. But only deferred hope cannot be the reason for depression. There may be some other factors also that will be involving. Some will be depressed. Some will be saying like, if they lost something, the hope is not achieved, and they have this deferred hope, they will be either crying or they will be trying to be vindictive, like fighting, defending kind of they will be. And some will be going for drugs and drinking. So like this, deferred hope does not result only in depression. It may be resulting in being either taking drugs or being defensive like that. So there may be some other reasons also that will add up to cause deferred hope to become like depression. Peers. At this age, the interaction with peers will increase. So their friends will be suggesting a lot of things for adolescents. So some friends will be like for example, if I am studying in a school or a college, I will start observing what my friends are doing, and I will compare them with myself, and I will say, oh, they are able to do that much, I'm not able to do like them. So like this comparison will start when they start relationship, interaction with their own peers, and which will cause them to feel depressed. I am not as talented as them. Like that, they will start thinking. Next thing is bullying. Among peers only, bullying is one thing. Like for example, in case of caste system and all, they will treat badly low caste people. They will try to bully their dressing or their appearance or behavior or anything. So like this, when people try to do bullying through either physical or verbal or relational way, that will cause the depression in adolescents. A research tells that relational bullying is more common among girls, whereas physical and verbal bullying is more common among boys. That means, so relational fights will happen among girls, But in case of boys, they will be fighting, physical fighting will be more, and they will be speaking like criticizing words, sarcastic words amongst boys. So that is the kind of bullying in most cases. So all these bullyings will result in depression. Next, cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is nothing but that bullying that we do through internet. So when we go into the internet, cyberbullying is not direct, but actually when a person sees, for example, in case of Instagram or Facebook or whatever account we have, we see the profile pictures or something of others and we try to compare. Oh, I'm not like them, I'm not as beautiful as them, I don't have good hair like them. Like this, these comparisons will start, and which will eventually lead to feeling that we are not up to the mark of the level of the world thinks, and we will try to have this kind of depression. Next thing is suicide. In peer groups, if any person uh, commits suicide, then there is a higher risk for others also to commit suicide, because they have relationship with each other. The feeling of the depression what their friend went through, they will understand. Even I am also going through that same thing. No, that kind of thought will help, will eventually make them to attempt for suicide. Some of uh, the major suicide uh, type they use is altruistic suicide. That means we can feel the other person's problem. That's what happens within friends, which is the result of thinking of attempting to suicide. People, not only that, if a friend, if a person is not having good friends or she is isolated, then she will be feeling more vulnerable to suicide because she don't have good friends or people around her. Or in some cases, friends will desert them because of some fight or some issue. They will decide we will not speak to that girl or boy, and they will desert them. That kind of peer exclusion also will cause depression. In case of societal, first one is performance based. As our world is like performance based completely. If you perform well only, then you will be a successful person. That's the kind of output the world and society is giving to the students. This will cause lot of pressure on students. If they perform well only, they will be considered as successful people. So that causes a lot of pressure in them. Not only that, even because of having this kind of stress of performing, they will neglect their physical health, which will also will result in cause of disease or anything physical health problems, and it will also cause emotional problems. So a lot of things because of this uh, excessive pressure that they have from parents and from surroundings, they will experience depression because of this performance based nature. Social media. Some of them, like they will have
Snehita?
the
Snehita,
no,
do you want a small break?
no, I'll continue.
Okay, then okay.
Some adolescents, they most of them they will have some accounts in Facebook or Twitter or something like that. So when they have this kind of accounts, no, they will be more into that Facebook or Twitter friends than real friends. So because of that social medias, they don't have real friends. When that Facebook or everything is removed, they will come to terms like we are not having a real friend who can with whom we can share something or something like that. So because of the uh, not understanding the importance of reality and preferring virtual context over the real context, some will go through depression. Stigma. Stigma means like a feeling of shame that a person will experience due to a particular circumstance. Like for example, if a person is put into prison, because of that, they will feel a shame. So that kind of shame they will have in their mind constantly. That is stigma. So mental stigma will be one of the big issue for depression. And people who have mental health problems, they will have the stigma. People are not involving with me. They see me as a mental health patient or some negative behavior or something. The way they behave, the way they act, based on that, some people will be commenting, which will cause a kind of shame. They see that girl's walk is like this, similar to that kind of, like this kind of comments that may cause stigma in people, which is one kind of bullying also. So these also will cause depression in young adults, I mean adolescents. The last thing is lack of adolescent focused assistance. Though we know these many things are causing depression in adolescents, there are a lot of good, and there are no lot of good systems that will focus and help these adolescents to come out of those depression. Because of lack of that kind of systems, they will generally go for either a adult person or older person, but there is no care for these adolescents. Because of that, and even this is the stage they are trying to uh, express, so that they will, most of them will say, this is the stage you have to obey your parents, that this they will try to say and not allow them to express also. So which will cause, because of the lack of these support systems for these adolescents, and there is no person who is willing to take time to listen what is from their end. Most of them, they don't have their depression is not addressed. They, in the long run, they will become major depressive people. So this is what depression leads. Let us see some types of depression. Major depressive disorder, which means at least 2 weeks of low mood, not one week or one day. If constantly if they have 2 weeks of low mood, like sad or dull, then we can think of they have major depressive disorder. Persistent depressive disorder, that means continuous feelings of deep sadness and hopelessness, which will be till 2 years or more. Next, bipolar. So, bipolar, characterized by episodes of abnormally elevated mood known as mania or a milder hypomania, followed by periods of depressive mood. That means bipolar disorder means they will either have extreme emotions. It will be uh, like fluctuating between extreme emotions. Then that kind of episodes, if they have regularly, then it is depressive during this. depressive mood, then it is bipolar disorder. Seasonal affective disorder. It will be generally in winter, people will feel more depressed, they say. So seasonal affective disorder is, it will come every year at the same time. Postpartum depression means it will occur after giving birth. So which is not in adolescence, but is generally, I must tell you, sharing the different kinds of depression. And premenstrual dysphoric disorder, this will occur in women when they are going through menstruation time. Psychotic depression, a very serious mood disorder. They will feel hallucinations, delusions. What not happened, they will think it is happening, maybe. Like that, they will try to think of what is not happening also. That is called a psychotic depression. Atypical depression. That means the symptoms will be reducing and going away, but during positive events, I mean, when some good things happen, the depression is gone, they will think. That is atypical depression. Situational depression, like a stress-related type of depression, when work is heavy, or when some traumatic event occurred, or when something that they experienced in life, then that is situational depression. Psychothymia means a person may experience chronic and fluctuating unstable moods, which will be varying between different periods of time. So they will have different mood swings in their life. That will be chronic. That means not for temporary. It won't be temporary. Regularly, I mean, most of the time it will be having this fluctuation of moods. Then that is cyclothymia. 11th one is treatment-resistant depression. That is, a person does not typically respond to traditional treatment and therapeutic options. That means they don't respond, means then it is treatment-resistant depression. Subsyndromal depression. A person with depressive disorder doesn't experience all the symptoms of major depressive disorder, as they have only few of the symptoms. That means it is one part of major depressive disorder where they don't experience all the symptoms, only few they will experience. That is subsyndromal depression. Recurrent brief depression, a prevalent mood disorder with an increased risk of suicidal behavior, occurring at least monthly with depressive episodes lasting only a few days. Only for a few days they will have this kind of depression, and this will make them think of suicides. So it is not regular, I mean, regular in the sense continuous, maybe once a month they have, then we can think of this recurrent brief depression. Mixed anxiety depressive disorder. It means a person will suffer from anxiety as well as depressive symptoms with limited and equal intensity, accompanied by at least some uncontrollable physical symptoms. If they are not controllable, anxiety and depression, then it is called mixed anxiety depressive disorder. So total 14 types of depression are there, amongst which only few of them are prevalent among youth. So most of the reasons why depression will result in ending the life of a person is because they give up in life or in the process of coping. So the process of giving up manifests itself in a variety of ways. That ways will be including whether either they blame themselves or they blame others, or they will be hating pleasure, or they will be becoming addicted. So these are the 4 ways they will show that I gave up everything. Blaming others. Yes. When it comes to blaming others, when we feel very low and hopeless, we will have a tendency to blame others. I am suffering like this because of that person's mistake. Like that, we will try to blame the other person. And we will say, if that person really helped me in that situation, I would have not been in this situation. So like that, we will be trying to blame everyone. Even during marital problems also, some people, they will try to blame others only more than what they can do. So blaming others first. Second one is blaming ourselves. Some people, they don't have the courage to blame others. So they will say, I am the reason for this. Even if we know that the others are behaving wrong also, we will try to say that it is our fault that we experienced this situation. They show their anger towards themselves instead of towards others. So a person, one woman, when she was experiencing a divorce, she thought like this itself. If I could keep my home clean, if I do all the cooking well, and if I lost some weight, then my husband would not see for another girl. He would not leave me. Like that, she used to think. But it is blaming herself. That's what she did. But really, the problem might be the other one. He doesn't have some self-control over his own choices, and he is blaming her, and she is taking that blame on herself, and she is giving up by blaming herself. Hating pleasure. Those who go through depression, they will not like pleasure or anything like that. Because if they have any kind of pleasure in their life, it will may again cause some kind of hope, which will result in again that hope also may be again deferred again and become painful again. So to avoid that, they will avoid all the pleasures, whether it is like bodily pleasures or regarding food or anything. It can be dressing or anything. They will not have any pleasure. Becoming addicted. So some can't do anything. So what they will do is, to forget the pain, let me drink. That's what they will find as a solution. And they will get addicted to a lot of drugs or alcohol or smoking. If we give up only, we will be exhibiting these 4 things in our life. So why do we give up in the first case? Let us see the reasons why we give up. There is no question that natural tendencies or biological realities may play a part in why we give up in the face of depression and despair. So we don't know why, what are the things that are the reason for our despair most of the time. But these are the things, the causes that will cause us feel despair in our life. Without dismissing the role of these factors, may have, let's consider reasons that are within our control. So these are the factors, but we give up, no? So to stop giving up, we should know the reasons which where we have control over, where there is no control for the problems that we face in family or something. We can't control them, but there are things what we can control. So we can work on them so that we can stop giving up. Like a refusal to live with deferred hope. One thing we can do to stop giving up is we refuse to live with deferred hope and misplaced hopes. Refusal to live with deferred hope means I don't want to get disappointed anytime. So that's why I want to give up on having hope or anything. So that one will lead to giving up only. Misplaced hopes means I want to become so and so, but I didn't check whether I have the capability to do it or not. So, which is an unrealistic hope that I placed on myself, which will eventually lead to giving up. So these are the reasons why we give up. The process of recovery. So to recover, what we should do is facing the truth. That means if we failed in something, we should face that truth. Instead of denying or feeling numbed over the pain, we receive it. Whether it will hurt or not, we will receive it. Pain is not an enemy because it's a sign that life and feelings are returning to our deadened hearts. So that means if we have feelings and pain, then we are alive. That's what it says. That's why when we face the truth only, we will be really able to recover the hope through the pain that we went through and recover the faith through the doubt and recover the joy through giving to others. Recovering hope by facing despair. How can we recover our hope by facing despair means if we see in Jesus' life, he went through a pain. He expressed his pain directly before he was crucified. So after he was expressing everything honestly, we can see angel coming and comforting him that he had the boldness to face the struggle the next day. So we should not hide. Instead of that, we should face the despair. Then God will give us the hope. Acknowledging pain of loss. In case of Job, we saw that he had a lot of pain. He acknowledged, he opened up and he spoke up. Lord, this is what I feel. It is like I am like a dead man. I am like waiting day and night for the change of morning to night and night to morning. So all these things he expressed. When he expressed and acknowledged his pain, this is how I am feeling the pain in my heart. When they express, God will provide a way to recover their hope again. And admitting failure of misplaced hopes. Sometimes we will have some wrong hopes. Like, for example, a man must be perfect. And some people, I have heard some pastors also tell, like, eh, our life is 50% only. Only when we have our life partner, then our life will become 100%. There is no such thing like that. So by having that kind of thoughts that I am only 50%, I am incomplete, I need someone else to complete me. With that kind of thought, if they have that kind of thinking, if they have, they will be thinking like, I must get married compulsorily. Then only, if a man comes only, I will be a complete person. So they will be thinking like that, and they will be finding meaning not in themselves, but in having a husband who is perfect or something like that. So that is a wrong hope. So having that kind of a wrong hope, it will, we should admit before God. Then only God will help us to recover from that, and we will face recover our hope again. Recovering faith by facing doubt. In case of Jeremiah, if we read Jeremiah, he will be telling like, you told me so many things, but nothing happened. I believed you and I was being cheated by you. Like that, Jeremiah will be speaking to God in chapter 20, verses 7 to 8. If we read, he will be quarreling with God because he faced difficult situations, and God actually promised that he will protect him. Instead, he was facing a lot of persecution from the people when he started telling what God wanted to tell him, like the judgment upon the people. When he said they mistreated him, they persecuted him, they put him in a dungeon. So like that they treated him. So because of that, Jeremiah got angry on God and he fought with God. But finally he will say in chapter 20 verse 9, he will say, your word is like fire, burning fire in my bones. And I cannot leave you, Lord. Like that he will tell. So like that, when we have lots of doubts about God, during difficult situations, we will have lots of doubts where people will not encourage others to come with their doubts to come before God. And they will be thinking, I should not ask any doubt on God. I should just believe. That's what they will think. And they will keep their doubts to themselves, which will not help them to recover. But if we come before God and express our doubts, from the doubts itself, God will recover our faith by showing himself strong after we speak about everything. And especially when we are feeling lots of doubts and many things, if we don't speak, no, it will be inside our hearts only. But if we speak out of anger or something, if we express it out, we will feel some kind of exhaustion within us, and we will be also willing to hear what he wants to say. If we have a lot of things inside buried our hearts, lot of doubts, we will not be able to hear what God is telling to us also. We cannot hear him because of a lot of things that are inside our heart. So when we open up and speak up all the doubts before God, then after everything is finished, after we finished our speaking, God will recover our faith. In case of Job also, we can see that till 40 chapters he was talking. Endlessly he talked. And he will tell finally, I have nothing to speak. Then God comes and God will speak. So like that, whenever we have doubts, if we face the doubt in front of God, then he will recover our faith. And the last thing that we can do is we can get joy and happiness by giving to others. When we experience one kind of pain or depression or something, instead of focusing constantly on ourselves, we'll go out, we'll help somebody else. Then, when they are uplifted, we can get joy. Apart from this, there are some things that we should do to recover from depression. That is, we should always remember what are the happy times or good times in our past. And we should tell ourselves, just like I had some good things that happened in my past after a crisis. Again, after this problem, God will give good times for me. Like that, we should remind ourselves. And what made to have joy in the past, those things we should try to do, and we should bring out our talents and we should exhibit them, and we should remember on and on the good things we did and our achievements in the past instead of the bad things. We should ponder on good things. If possible, we can play some indoor games like chess and caroms also to relieve us from that stress. And we can focus on doing exercise and having a good food also. And some further suggestions, we should eat wisely and exercise regularly. If we don't eat wisely, then we will get into problems because we don't know what are the components that will increase depression. And we should seek for professional help when we experience deeper depression symptoms. And we should keep a journal. Journal means like a diary. If we keep record of some good things, good events, we will have things to appreciate the next day instead of thinking about only the negative events that happened in that previous day. So having a journal also is very good habit. So when it comes to friends and family, how they should support, we'll be seeing that if a person close to us is struggling with depression, they will be not allowing you to help. Like, for example, you may find that how much you are supporting also, they will be like telling negative things from that also. And they may, if you try to support, they will be thinking we are overly involved in their issues, and if you don't support, they will be telling like you are not caring, or you may feel like constantly I am helping but there is no change. It is no win situation. Like that, we can feel when we try to help these depressive people, because they will have lot of self-destructive patterns. So to come out of that, it will take a lot of time. So we should be patient and kind with them. Second thing is, we may also go through times we will feel helpless and we want to either withdraw. I mean, we will think of, let this person feel what they want to do, let them feel. I can't help this person. That kind of giving up we can do, or we will feel frustrated. What is this person? How much we are helping also? They are not even changing. And we will try to push them. You must do it, otherwise you will not come out. Like the kind of pressure we will give to them. So all these kinds of responses that we give towards them is harmful, and it will increase their depression. So that's why we should try to keep ourselves, our emotions on par, so that we will not have any problem. in future. Instead of making them feel as if we gave up on them, we can let them know that we believe in who they could be as they learn to put their confidence in God. So we will, as they are trying to learn to depend on God, we will stand with them and we will say, I believe in you that you can make it through this. I believe that you can finish well and you will come out. Like that, we should give some positive strokes to them. And we should not force them to get help, but we can only invite them to be honest and to grieve. I mean, grieve in the sense, if they have anything that will cause pain in them, let them cry. We should not stop them from crying, because we saw that grieving can renew hope. So that's why we should allow them to be grieving, and that will help them to build up faith and hope and a desire to follow the calling of love for which God called them. So this is the way we can help our friends and families if they are going through depression. Thank you.
Praise the Lord, Snehita. May the Lord name to glorify. And such a wonderful presentation and hard work, prayer preparation, and which you put for this life skills seminar. Maybe it's a beginning. We need to go a long journey. Wonderful study, lots of clarifications, definition, explanation for the answer to the young people if they listen it. And Snehita, thank you. God bless you, Snehita. When we Monday we'll meet and we'll have discuss more about this topic one more time to be final the shape of the final shape of the materials. And God bless you, Snehita. And keep it PPT everything well. And we'll be revived once in Monday. Then
Okay.
we have the final shape and all.
Okay.
And God bless you. Will
Any doubts?
hello?
Any doubts, Anna, regarding the topic?
Snehita?
Regarding the topic, any doubts?
Hello?
Any doubts or questions, if you have, you can ask. Anna.
Regarding?
Regarding depression, Anna.
Yeah, actually doubts in the sense, I read some article, but thing is which you present today, the full scale of the material, and but even I learned lots of things today, but I cannot raise immediately doubt and all. Christine, do you have anything want to ask Christine? Topic which and all, which you presented? Okay. So okay, Snehita, Monday we'll have final clarification, discussion and all. Okay, anything and all.
Yeah, thank you.
I want to listen one more time the whole audio.
Okay.
And thank you. Thank you, Snehita. God bless you. Wonderful
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you, Snehita.
Thank
You are
you.
really wonderful. His voice is not. My net is not good.
Okay.
Okay. Appa, 12